All right, we are live. What's going on, everybody? And welcome to another episode of 100% Real with Alex. Today, we have a very special guest. My man has closed 60 plus million dollars of real estate. He is a team leader. He's been in the business for about 3 years now, and he looks damn good in his suit. My man Fernando, welcome. Thank you so much for for
Thanks, man.
for being on this. We had a chance to actually connect a little bit before actually making this episode, and I was like really inspired by his story because it was like really down to earth. Seems like a really down to earth guy. So I mean, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit about where you're coming from, a little bit about how you got started in the business?
Yeah. So, my name is Fernando Recinos with the White Good Realtors Madison Pierce team, based out of East Meadow. Been in the business for 3 years now, which is not
Awesome.
that long of a time. Uh, Started from the ground zero. I had no parents in real estate. I literally started from doing, I guess like the very basic building blocks for real estate. Cold calling, door knocking. Uh, wasn't easy. But we fast forward now 3 years later down the line, and here we are today, and built a team. It's been a great experience. it's,
That's
it's been
awesome,
a
man.
roller coaster, a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah, man, for sure. And what we really connected on was literally our entrepreneurial mindset. Like, I
Yeah.
know you had a really cool story coming up. Like, literally, like you always kind of leaned on being an entrepreneur. You want to tell a little bit about your come up story and how like you kind of got into like, okay, I really know I like sales. I want to kind of continue with this.
Yeah. So I guess you could really stem it back to like when I was a kid, and I kind of touched base on that, like the little run-ins and trouble I ran into as a kid growing up. Parents, migrated from El Salvador, escaping the Civil War at the time. They came here as kids. They're small business owners nowadays. They still run their small businesses, but it's always like that entrepreneurial mindset that was instilled into me as a very young kid. And back to kind of like that story you and I had talked about, when I was in middle school, I got kicked out of public school because during the time, I was selling stuff that I wasn't supposed to be selling. Uh, Full disclosure, I was selling fake weed and people were buying it. So I was like maybe 10, 11 years old at the time. I
Mhm.
realized I had like I guess a niche for sales, and then I enjoyed it. I was 10, 11 years old, maybe making like $150 to $200 a week, and I enjoyed it. Eventually I got caught, got kicked out of school, but then I realized that I enjoyed sales. I understood the entire process, the supply and demand, if you will. And yeah, I mean, fast forward, I went to college. I majored in I had a poli sci major and a minor in business, and ended up dropping out. I did not finish it. Not that I didn't enjoy it, just it wasn't for me. It wasn't the route that I wanted to take.
Mhm.
Did 3, 4 years of school, dropped out. I was in a pretty bad position, a bad place at that time, and that's actually when I took a trip to Spain. I went away for like a couple of months. Being there, no family. I connected with a family friend who was an entrepreneur, a self-made guy too. Similar story. Dropped out of school. I started a business from ground up, and just kind of relating and putting myself in a circle with the people whose stories I could relate to. It just like opened up my mindset to like, hey, like I need to find something. I enjoyed sales. I understand it. So let me pursue a career into that. And real estate just really wasn't the first thing that clicked.
Yeah.
Um, when I had got back from Spain, like I was helping my parents kind of like just reamp their businesses. My mom, she has a small med spa. My dad, he's a contractor. He has a construction business. So I kind of like trying to implement whatever ideas I came back with from Spain into their businesses now. Then eventually, after some time, that's actually when I met my broker, who was a friend of my mother's at the time, and still is. And again, real estate just wasn't the first thing on my mind. I always had this misconception of real estate agents that were kind of like car salesperson.
Yeah.
Um, my parents used to flip homes back in '06, '07 before the crash.
Mhm.
So that's kind of like, I guess, where I got my first real taste of real estate, because I would go and help them when they were doing the flips. Long story short, they actually lost a lot of properties because 2008, no one was buying properties. They had over leveraged some of these properties. They were at a loss. A few of them, I think one or two of them actually foreclosed, but it was a shit show, honestly. It was pretty bad. And some of the agents that they had worked with, I remember them complaining like, oh, they hustled us out of money. And around that time, I mean, mortgage brokers and some real estate agents, I guess, weren't really doing the correct things that they were supposed to be doing. So again, back to the point, it just really wasn't the first thing that I wanted to do, real estate. So after meeting the right people and connecting with the right people, I kind of like realized the different things that you can do in real estate, because real estate is such a vast world. It's not just sales. There's so much to it. There's different things that you can do to it. And again, I enjoy the people to people relationships, kind of like you and Alex. We're building a relationship. We get along. We can relate on different things. And that aspect of real estate is what I enjoy. It's not a regular 9 to 5. It's not like the same routine. Each day is different in real estate. It's a constant roller coaster, never ending. And I really did enjoy that, and I guess I've enjoyed that high from it, that I started building momentum into my business. I started just building my team last year, and it's been great so far. We're growing a team, expanding my business, and again, it's been a joyful ride. I'm enjoying it. I love it. I'm here for the next 30 plus years.
Yeah,
Can't
man,
complain.
for sure. I mean, I don't plan on retiring anytime soon either. Another thing that we kind of related on too, that we kind of both, obviously, like, I feel like a lot of successful people, they go into college thinking it's one thing, and then they kind of drop out because they're like, oh, I'm not actually learning what I thought I would be learning. Is you're kind of just regurgitating information. In
Yeah.
regards to education, actually, before I go into the education of what you kind of focused on to build yourself, in real estate, I just wanted to ask, like, when you used to do retail, right? So you did retail sales
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
You worked at, because I worked at Michael Kors. Where was it that you worked at?
So I first started off at Best Buy when I was 18, and then from Best Buy I moved into commission sales at Nordstrom. And then after Nordstrom, I moved into Bloomingdale's. But I always did enjoy sales. It was sales. It's really what it was, retail
Yeah.
sales.
So in regards to, what was some of the biggest lessons you learned in regards to selling, and with those jobs, would you say?
So retail, like it's one of those things that I recommend everyone to do it. It gets you out of your bubble. I used to be a very shy kid growing up. I posted a few words at a very small group of friends. I never really came out of my shell, I guess. But working in retail, it's like you kind of have to communicate with people, and that's one of the skills I was able to build starting at Best Buy, my first job. Building relationships, connecting with people, learning how to listen to people and listen to what their concerns and whatnot, their wants and needs. And again, Best Buy is where I started off, and just to kind of, I guess, dig deeper into the Best Buy story, because that's really where my whole sales uh, training really came from. I was doing working at the mobile department in Best Buy at the time. I wasn't really there for that long of a time. I would think I was there for maybe like a year or a little bit under a year. But yeah, so I was working in the mobile department, selling cell phone plans, and everything. And I really understood my product, what it is that I was selling, and I made sure to make it my job to understand. Because if I'm going to be selling people, I want to make sure that whatever I'm selling, I understand it, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed learning about all the new technology that was coming out. I enjoyed learning about the different cell phone plans. And around that time is kind of when they introduced when they were switching from the 2 year, your 2 year plan over to the leasing plan, which is,
Mm,
I guess, the more common thing now if you don't want to buy a cell phone outright. So I was kind of, I guess, part of that initial force that introduced leasing cell phones into Long Island, and I was number one in the district for some time. Eventually, when I told my manager at the time that I was leaving, I was going to go over to Nordstrom because it was commission. I enjoyed sales, I understood it. They offered me a raise, but even then, again, I was 18 at the time. A raise, I guess, I mean, it wouldn't have been the same had I switched over to commission, because I realized how much more my numbers were. I realized that I understood what I was doing. I enjoyed it too. So then it just made sense for me to go into commission sales, and then that's when I actually went into Nordstrom,
yeah.
and I was killing it while I was there. I was
Yeah, I mean,
making
I
decent
love that
money.
you did that, because there was a couple of points you said. You said you understood the product, right? So you
Yeah,
understood what you were selling, right? And you believed in the product. I feel like
correct.
something that a lot of new agents kind of struggle with,
Yeah,
especially like they don't really understand the process fully, but they're in it because they think it's just about the money. And if you have to actually believe in the real estate, believe in it as an investment, as a way to wealth. I feel
yeah.
like once you truly believe it, then it's going to be so much easier to sell because it's something that you're really passionate about.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah,
Yeah. So I really love that you touched on that point. So, and also I noticed that you also kind of learned a little about negotiating what you're worth there, right? So
yeah,
like, you're like, I gotta get commission or whatever it may be, and then they offered you the raise, and you kind of turned that away because you're like, hey, I know I can step up in the commission
yeah.
game rather than being just paid hourly with a little bit of commission or little bonuses here and there. I love that.
Correct.
So let's get into like when your first year in real estate, right? So I
Yeah,
know my first year, I went negative 8,000. I was struggling really hard, and I actually had to get a retail job to support my real estate habit. That's what I like to call it. Um,
yeah.
so tell me a little bit about your first year in real estate. Some of your ups, your downs, your biggest struggles during that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So first year in real estate, I mean, I lost more deals than I closed deals my first year. And I'm not sure exactly how much in the negative I was, but I spent a lot of money in like ads. I spent money on ads. driving all over Long Island, working with buyers and sellers and whatnot. And I was so close to the point where I almost got dropped out of the business, because I wasn't seeing the money. I wasn't seeing the returns on the amount of time that I was putting into my business. Um, I was licensed 2017, but I didn't jump into real estate full time until 2018. It was like New Year, it was like New Year, new me type of thing, the same BS that we all say, but I was like, I actually believed it, let me jump into real estate. Let me give this a try full time. I got a listing within like the first month or so. I closed three transactions in my first 2 months in real estate. One of them was a referral from my broker, which eventually that led onto more reciprocal business that came from it. But those were like the only deals I got done my first year. I did a total of 5 deals, but I got that initial high from it. I was like, okay, I can do this, and then I wasn't listening to my broker's advice at the time. I was like, okay, I felt a little arrogant, after closing like 2-3 deals, which wasn't much. Got my first listing. I got a few other listings that I was working, so much so to the point, I think 4 or 5 months in, I was at about 3 closed deals, and I had 4 deals, 2 listings, and I had 2 buyer contracts. And then all 4 of those actually fell through like the same week, like literally simultaneously, like back to back. And then that's kind of where I got that reality check. It's like, oh shit, like this really isn't that easy, I didn't know how to save these deals. And then some of these circumstances are things that are just out of your hands. That initial listing I had it for a whole year, got to sell a full asking price. And then all of a sudden he just didn't want to sell anymore, and it's like, oh my God, like what am I supposed to do at this point? So that's kind of where I got my first taste of reality. And aside from that, I was working with buyers like endlessly my first year, which I think most agents work buyers. I highly recommend work buyers as a new agent. It helps you understand the markets. You have to do your due diligence whenever you're researching homes for buyers. Also, when you're driving out to these areas, it's not the same when you just look at them online versus when you actually drive out there, you understand the homes, you understand what the areas are like, and it kind of gives you like a better concept of what Long Island really is like. So my first year, I was just going around with a whole bunch of buyers, whether they were approved or not. I just took them out for joyrides. I was even a chauffeur for some of these buyers at that time, which was something that I don't frown upon, but it's not something that I would do now. Because again, I did waste a lot of time. I was crashing, I was burning out. I was burnt my first year, after losing multiple deals. Working with buyers who weren't pre-approved, buyers who just wanted to look at homes, and because I wasn't doing the proper due diligence up front. And it was so much so to the point after my first year, I was like, listen, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And I spoke to my brother, I was like, hey, like, I think I can't do this full time anymore. I might just have to get another job. I spoke to my parents about it.
That's so funny because I feel like after my first year as well, like that first year, I thought about quitting like maybe like, I don't know, like 20 times. Like at one point I was like, this is just not for me. What am I doing? I'm wasting all my savings.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not easy, man.
Yeah, there's definitely a huge learning curve. And I love what you said in regards to like working with buyers. Obviously, I was working with buyers too. And I was literally a chauffeur. I was like Batman. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like anytime that signal went out, like I was like, I'll show it to you tonight. And I was like trying to schedule
100%.
it the same day. And obviously it's not the smartest way of going about it. But I'm pretty sure during that first year of running around, you learned a lot, right? Like
I learned a ton.
Yeah, I knew that like qualifying was like a thing that I had to learn, right? Like I couldn't just be nice on the phone. I had to actually like build these relationships, but actually be strategic. In regards to like from your first year, where because you hit the ground running. To be honest with you, I would have loved to get 2 deals in contract and get a listing. I think it took me like 6 months to get my first listing, just door knocking in the neighborhood or whatever. After you got your first couple of deals in the pipeline, I know you said it kind of went straight down and then you took off again. What was that pivotal moment, right? Like I felt like my pivotal moment was like after the first year, like I was like midway through my, like maybe 2 or 3 months into my second year where I was like, I'm going to do this or I'm going to die, right? Like I need to make this work. There's no excuse. There's no, other way. And I was really like, I'm going to make it work. Right. Like that was kind of like my mindset. I had like this pivotal moment where I was like, I used to listen to a lot of like Tony Robbins tapes and all these different like that or that audiobooks while I was at the stock at Michael Kors, like unpacking bags. Like this is not gonna be forever. I don't want to do this. So I put myself in such immense pain that it kind of like pushed me to like close a bunch of deals. And like I literally went from negative 8,000 to like 50,000 to making like 200,000 like the year after, well 100 something thousand, then 200,000 the next year, and so on and so forth. But like, what was your catalyst? Like, what was your things like, you know what, I'm gonna do this? Like, I'm gonna do this, or you know what I'm saying? Like I'm full in. Was it just New Year's, or was there like a moment where it's like that was that?
No, no. After my first year, going into my second year, I guess my whole mindset did change. I guess like most agents, one of my initial, I guess, mindset and goals when I first started, was just to make money. As opposed to, I guess, like truly understanding real estate and kind of like giving people value.
Hmm.
Going into my second year, my whole mindset changed. And that's kind of where I was like listening more to my broker and like the advice he was giving me at the time. And it's like just try to build the relationships with people, try to give people actual value, as opposed to just chasing your next deal or just chasing a quick buck, which a lot of agents who I've spoken to, that's kind of, or even people reach out to me nowadays, like, yeah, I want to make a lot of money, I want to get into real estate. I know you can make a lot of money in it. And don't get me wrong, you can make a lot of money in real estate, but it's like you got to build that foundation to start. So I guess my pivotal moment was after my first year. I had no plan B. It's like I got to make this work. And it's like I've spoken to people who kind of have like backup or fallback jobs, or maybe like a safety net that's there carrying them. For me, it's like I got to make this work, or there's no plan B. Let's make this work. After all the L's that I took my first year, going into my second year, I kind of had a different mindset. My whole approach towards working with buyers and sellers and people in general, it's like offering advice and like true advice and help wherever I can help. And that's still kind of my motto today. It's like I'll speak to people, and whether they choose to work with me or not, I'm going to give as much value as possible, and I'm going to try to help you out as much as possible. And that whole switch in mindset from the first year, from just focusing on the money and just start to focus on actually building relationships and adding value to people, that's kind of what changed my entire business. And it's kind of what I've been thriving on right now.
100%. No, I think that's amazing. Because this business is all people, right? At the end of the day,
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
how much value you can actually add. And I think one of the biggest hurdles for me to jump over was making myself a resource, right?
Yeah.
One thing that I started doing that really did help a lot was I started connecting with attorneys. I started connecting with other professionals that are in the like field, you can say,
Yeah.
where I can provide their services, whether they were paying me a referral fee or not. I was like, I want to be thought of as that person, right? The person that
Yeah.
no matter what, even if I'm not getting paid off of it, I'm gonna help you. You can always call me and I can be that person that connects you. I always
Yeah.
felt the real estate plug, right? I always wanted to become the real estate plug.
That's
So
funny because that was my IG, like not my handle, but it was like on my IG bio before, like your local Long Island real estate plug. Is again, same thing. I wanted to add value, even if they didn't work with me, or if I didn't get any monetary gain from it. My thing is always to add value to people, and building long lasting relationships, whether you're a buyer or seller, whether you're a professional, real estate attorney, mortgage person, or even other agents. I'm all about these relationships. And it's like, your business really can 10x the moment you start building these relationships. They're crucial for your business. And listen, you don't know everything. It's like if you could take just a few things from here and there, it's going to just build your momentum, and it's just going to keep building you as a real estate agent. So
yeah,
networking is key, and the relationships aspect of it, I think it should be the main foundation for real estate, honestly.
yeah,
Um, Building relationships.
yeah, definitely. And going back, like I love that you keep saying that, like being coachable, right? Like I felt like
Yeah,
once you kind of admit that you don't know, or you don't have to like you don't have in this industry, you do not have to reinvent the wheel, right? And I always was that
correct.
type of person because I'm a very big self-starter, and I know that you are too. I was trying to do everything myself, but literally I came up with this whole process in regards to how I worked with my buyers by year two. But then I went to this coaching, Sweat Hogs coaching, and found out
Okay.
that they already made this system and they had it like already running. I could have literally went there once, learned the whole
Yeah.
process without actually creating this whole system myself, thinking that I'm like, super unique in that, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to reinvent it, and being coachable, especially
That's
when
true.
first coming into it, is super, super important. So before you said you were spending money on like advertising, things of that nature.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming with Zillow, Premier Agent, things like that.
I tried Zillow to start off, and I hated it initially. And then I tried like sometimes how we get like those email ads sometimes, like post your ads here and whatnot. I was
Yeah.
doing that. I did, I think it was like a local newspaper or something like that.
Hmm.
It wasn't even the front page or the back page. It was like one of the middle pages, because I was starting out. I wanted to get my name out as much as possible. So I was kind of trying like the old traditional marketing. So I did pay for some marketing, and I didn't really see anything come from it. Not that I am against it, just after a while and fast forward to where we are now, it just is not something that I would do,
Yeah.
pay for ads like that.
So how are you currently obtaining your business?
Right now, for the most part, it's strictly through referrals. Instagram's bringing me in clients as well now. Social media. Um, my what's it called? The sphere of influence. Like that's one of the things that I focus on. And all the agents that are coming onto my team now, I just I'm like, listen, your sphere of influence. You know, even if they don't want to do anything right now, doesn't mean they're not going to want to do anything in the future. You know, just make sure you're constantly staying around those people because even if they're not looking to buy or sell, you never know whose relative or whose friend is looking to do something in real estate. So sphere of influence, social media, um, cold calling I still do as well. But I guess to any agent who's starting out, you know, me personally, I hated cold calling when I started out, and I hated door knocking. I did it a few times. You know, I had a door closed on me once. I had someone yell at me a couple of times when I started out. And it's like fuck, I hated it. You know. But to any agent who's starting out, like your sphere of influence, that's key, and that's what's still bringing me business in now. You know, the relationships I built with my past clients, I keep in touch with everyone. You know, every client, I don't just treat them as clients. I kind of create friendships and relationships with them. You know, and that alone in itself has been bringing me so much referral business from past clients that like it's legit. You know, it's sporadically just grown like that. You know, back to that one of the first deals I closed when I first started out in the business. It was a first time home buyer. They reached out to me because they wanted to buy a house. We were about to go into contract. The house at the time was like 550. A week later, after we did the home inspection, right before they signed the contract, they like, listen, like this isn't the house for us, you know. And it was my first deal. I was like so upset, I was like devastated. You know, I've
Mhm.
shown them multiple homes. We were about to go into contract on this deal, and all of a sudden they don't want to move forward. Turns out they didn't want to move forward because now the father wanted to help them and was going to give them money to buy a bigger house. You know, so I was able to be part of that process. You know, I assisted them with the purchase, and they ended up buying close to $1 million property as opposed to the 550. But I built that relationship with those buyers to the point where now I'm like the agent for the entire family. You know, I think we've done over $1 million of deals now. And anytime they need anything, you know, they've always reached out to me. And it's like that relationship and that constant referral business that I've built through past clients that just keeps growing and growing, you know, to the point that now I had to start building a team where I was getting a lot of business from friends, referrals. I mean, you name it, you know, and I'm not paying for ads. Again, not that I'm against it, but just focusing on building the relationships again. You know, it's been key to my business and just growing it from that point on.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And then for those of you who are like younger that might not have like a strong sphere of influence, that can always be built, right? Like it's not something
Yeah,
that
100%.
like you know what I'm saying? Like your sphere is anybody that you can connect with, right? So
Yeah,
sometimes friends of friends, right? That you have like you just have to kind of think a little grandiose when it comes to like, okay,
yeah,
how can I be the mayor of my town? Or like how can I like make connections in my building? I used to as well like literally stand outside my building when I was doing nothing and like just hang out and then just try to strike up conversations with anyone in my building because I wanted
yeah.
to know everyone in my building, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's literally all you have to do. I used to call it was it is this a co-op or a condo? So one of my
Okay.
new agents, I used to like have them go to co-ops and condos and like, is this a co-op or a condo to whoever and like left the
Yeah,
building and then just strike up a conversation. And then your goal was to strike up a conversation strong enough that you know you could potentially ask for their number and just get really uncomfortable with like being able to ask for that right after having a conversation,
yeah,
right? Or at least giving them a card or whatever it may be. But yeah, I love that you've been, you know, striking the sphere of influence. Obviously, we pay for ads, but you know, that's something because we're trying to build like, you know, past our just sphere of influence. We're trying to build a lot.
yeah, yeah. Correct. You have to once you're trying to get to that
But
point. You know.
like I was actually just talking to one of my agents today that like how can I get into thing like into business without like I don't really have a sphere of influence. I was like, first thing you do is just go to, like host an open house, like find a mentor,
Yeah,
find someone, host the open house there, and just build connection with the neighbors and the make a relationship with whoever comes through that door that doesn't have an agent, right? And it's as
correct.
simple as that. Now you're starting to build your sphere of influence. If you continuously add value to them, you can definitely make it happen. So
Yeah,
you know, obviously you started tasting success in your second year. um, when did you know it was time to start building your team, right? Like when were you like, okay, I'm gonna start building a team now?
yeah. So it was at a point where I was getting a lot of leads and a lot of referrals from my sphere of influence from past clients. And I was just getting a lot of different phone calls, you know, through and people messaging me through Facebook, Instagram, and it got to the point where it's like, all right, I'm not dedicating enough time to all the clients. I do like dedicating time whenever I take on a new client, whether it be a buyer or seller. You know, I dedicate my full time. I'm available to them 24/7. Um, Again, it got to the point where it's like I just couldn't keep track of all the business that was coming in. You know, So there was buyers who I spoke to 2 days or 3 days. I didn't speak to them. Now they found a house through another agent that wasn't through me, you know.
Mhm.
So it's like I was just realizing that I was starting to lose business at that point where it's like, okay, I need to start building a team, you know, an extension of myself because I can't do it by myself, you know. Especially when you are working with a lot of buyers, because I still do work with a lot of buyers. It's like it's a lot more hands-on, and you're doing a lot more, you know, researching for homes, looking up homes, you know, scheduling homes, like all that. It's time-consuming. So it got to the point where it's like I was losing buyers to other agents, or they were going somewhere else because they felt like they weren't getting my full attention and time. So
Mm.
that's when I really realized that I needed to start growing a team, you know. And then we're at currently, I think, 6 agents. It should be, I think, 9 agents by the end of this month. I have a few friends who are getting licensed and everything. But again, you know, it's to the point where I realized that I needed to grow a team because I just couldn't sustain all that business and all those leads that were coming in by myself.
All right, awesome, awesome. And then so like what would you say is like one thing that you provide to your team that like, really helps them hit the ground running? Like, because I know for a fact, like for us, obviously they have access to us. Like giving away everything all the time.
Yeah.
What is one thing that you feel like you provide to your agents that kind of helps them spark that sprint in the beginning so they can start seeing success right away? Do you hand off leads or like what do you do to
Yeah,
kind of?
so I definitely do hand out leads. You know, I have them come with me to the open houses. I also do provide the one-on-one trainings. I tell them everything that I did, you know, because I mean, your best lessons as a real estate agent are the losses or the L's that you take when you start off.
Mhm.
From real estate school, you learn, I guess, just the bare minimum when you're taking your real estate courses. So it's like, for me, it's been living and learning. That's really how I've learned everything, all the ins and outs, you know, all the mistakes, all the downturns I've had in the business. So with all the new agents that I'm taking on, that's really what I provide to them. I'm available to them 24/7. You know, last night I was on a phone call for like an hour with one of our new agents from like 10 to 11 p.m. You know, I want them to feel like they have access to me, and I enjoy this business. I understand it. I get it. I love it. So I want to make sure that they have that same passion for it. You know, so I do hand off leads. I have them post open houses with me. We do training sometimes. My broker, he likes doing sometimes what's called we do like cold calling sessions at times. Zoom calls. I mean, I guess like, you know, just basic one-on-one so they feel like they have all the support that they need. Again, I'm always available to them, so
That's
for
awesome.
anything that they need.
Cool, cool, cool. And so let's make it like general in general. If somebody was to join the industry tomorrow, right? Like fresh, like just passed their exam, right? So they're trying to get into real estate. What would be one piece of advice that you would give them, like just starting out? Like what
Just keep
one?
it general
Yeah,
because there's
yeah,
so much
general to
advice we could give them.
anybody.
Um, General, which I would say is join the right team or join a team that kind of like mimics, I guess, your aspirations or is doing the kind of the things that you want to do. I think that's really crucial. And, you know, I'm making sure that the broker who's actually there or a team leader that's actually going to be there. You know, when I first got licensed, I met with, I think it was 4 or 5 different brokers in total. Some offered higher commission splits. And although a higher commission split may sound enticing in the beginning, you're not going to last in the business long enough if you're not getting the proper training from the very beginning. You know, so
100%.
the one thing I will always recommend to anyone who asks me like, hey, like I want to get into real estate, what should I do? Is choose a team that's going to provide value to you and it's going to truly help you build that foundation that you need. You know, don't just go for the brokerage that's going to offer you the most split commission because again, you're going to crash and burn in your first few months. You know, it doesn't matter if they're giving you 90% or even 100% of your commission. You know, if you're not getting the proper training from the beginning. So joining the right team is definitely, I think, the most important part for anyone who's looking to get in the business.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I feel like when picking a team or picking a brokerage, the first thing like is definitely finding out what the values of that team really is, right? Like what are they trying to accomplish? What are they trying to
Yeah,
do? If that aligns with you, you guys are going to be, crushing it, no problem, right?
yeah,
Obviously, the
1000%.
training has to be provided as well. Obviously, you're
Yeah,
getting access to hours of training because the first year is the hardest, I think. Um,
yeah,
like it's basically like starting a new business from
tough.
scratch, right?
Exactly. It's essentially what it is. You know, you're starting a business from the ground up, and that's what I tell all my agents. You know, when you get into real estate, you know, look at it as if you're starting your own business from the ground up. You know, don't look at it you're joining a company because it's not really like you are joining a company. Even if you are associated with a brokerage, you still have to treat it as if it's your own business. You know, and it's like it's not a 9 to 5. You know, it legit requires your attention to it 24/7. And if you approach it with that mentality, I think you'll succeed in this business, honestly.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, there definitely has to be that that like know that nobody's going to be on top of you. You're going to have to kind of come up
Yeah.
with your own game plan and your own strategies and things of that nature. Um, so question I always ask everybody, right?
Yep.
Um, what were some books or some trainings that you were taking during that time that you're making your paradigm shift where you were actually starting to taste success? Was there any like specific book or specific training that you kind of embraced to actually help you in your success?
Yeah, I mean, there was a few books. I think the one that I personally feel like really did help me out was I forget the name of it. It's like How to Win Friends and
Influence people?
Influence People. Yeah, that book was insane. Like just reading it, understanding it, it kind of like it made sense, and I was able to apply that into real estate. Because I mean, again, back to what we were talking about before, relationships. Just truly understanding people and just listening to what people want. And it's like people will tell you what it is that they want, whether it's a buyer, seller, or whoever, they'll always tell you what it is that they're looking for, what it is that they want to do. And it's like, you just got to understand them, be able to listen to them and kind of like digest what it is that they're telling you. That book was crucial for me. Other than that, I mean, I was listening to a few different podcasts as well. One that I would always listen to like religiously in the mornings, I would have coffee and listen to this podcast. It was the Andy Frisella podcast. He drops a lot of F bombs in it. So, I mean, some people aren't okay with like constant F bombs, but again, with me, I enjoyed it because it was raw. I didn't like listening to podcasts where I kind of felt coddled, or I kind of wanted something that would be raw, that wasn't sugar coated, something that was like straight to the point.
Mhm.
Um, and again, like his story was like a story that I was able to relate to, again, starting from the ground zero, building your business from the ground up. And yeah, I mean, I definitely recommend that podcast and that book for anyone who's in the business.
100%. I feel like one book for me personally was The 4 Hour Work Week.
Okay.
Because there was have you read that one by Tim
No,
Ferriss?
no, I have not.
Gotcha. It's a really good book. I feel like that one was when I was burning out. So I was spending so much time on like running around without like processes. And I felt like that book kind of opened me up to like, oh, I gotta create processes. And then once I create these processes, then I can have automation. Right.
Yeah.
So it helped me develop more relationships because I was qualifying better and I was like, dealing with all these leads coming in a lot better than I was before. So I mean, that's definitely good. I read the book that How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's an
Yeah.
amazing book. I think it should be on every entrepreneur's
Yeah.
anyone who has
1000%.
to do sales. I think that's like the go-to book. Rich Dad Poor Dad. I feel like I've gotten
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
people have read that one.
That's another one too.
Yeah, man.
And then there's the other one. Is it by Napoleon Hill?
Oh yeah,
That's another one
Think
too.
and
One
Grow
of the ones
Rich.
I read. Yeah, the Think and Grow Rich. That one's good too. But I think out of those three, the one I liked the most was the How to Win Friends and Influence People. Again, because it comes down to building the relationships, understanding people, and overall, it's a great book again for any entrepreneur.
Awesome, awesome. So, for those of you guys who want to connect with you, where can they go to get your information? Do you want to share like your Instagram handle and your like website, things of that nature?
Yeah, you can reach out to me on Instagram. Like I'm always posting on Instagram. I'm huge like on posting on Instagram, and I tell all my new agents like, listen, create an Instagram, post something at least once a day. Whether it's a post or a story, just post something, just so people constantly start associating yourself with real estate. But yeah, anyone who wants to connect with me, it's gonna be through my Instagram. It's Fernando, my first name, 2 underscore. So Fernando underscore realtor. And that's my IG handle. So if you want to follow me, feel free. Any agents or even if you're working with another company, if you want to connect with me and have any questions or concerns, like just shoot me a DM. Like I'm always willing to help out or just lend a hand or just give you my 2 cents or anything you might need help with. Or if you even need referrals, if you need attorneys or whatever it is, just feel free to reach out. I'm
Yeah.
always available.
Yeah, you seem like a very, like I said, like from when we first spoke, I feel like you're such a genuine guy. So definitely reach out to him. Again, the 100% Real is brought to you by Design for Agents, and e-commerce geared to making sure that realtors have everything they need in order to succeed in real estate, whether it be organizing or running Facebook ads or learning. You can go there to definitely check that out. And again, my name is Alexander Fazolani. I'm excited to do a follow-up, man, because you're still young in this business. I can't wait to see where you're going to be in 8 years, right? Like,
Yeah.
where are we going to be in 8 years? Like, are
I
we,
don't know, man.
that's going to be insane. So I'm very excited to see
I'm looking forward to it though. Yeah.
progression, man. Thank you so much for coming and taking time
No,
to
thank you, man.
everyone. Really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
I appreciate it, bro. Take care.